So, I brought a projector. Hello, I'm my favorite people. In today's video, I want to just walk you through unboxing my projector and setting it up. I've never used it before. I, until this point, did not look up anything of information about how to use it. So I'm just going to figure it, hopefully share with you if it's something nice. Just an honest review if it's worth it, all the time and effort putting into it. Is it hard to set it up? Is it nice? I don't know. Just figuring it all out as we go right here. So let's unbox it and then I will walk you through the one I bought. I bought it secondhand for 150 euros, which is very cheap because new, these are very expensive. So I'm wondering if that has some sort of effect on the project itself. But other than that, we're just going to dive into this baby together, and I want to use it to draft my next sewing pattern because I digitized the pattern and I want to make a new sample of it. I didn't print it yet because I was like, I want to try and use my projector for the next version of it, so then I don't have to print and tape and cut and all those things. So let's get this baby unboxed. This is it, and it should be for a short lens so that I don't have to put it up all the way to the ceiling for it to work. So that should be nice. That looks quite new, but yeah, I have no idea how to make this work. So the one that I got is the Epson AB695WI, and this is where I heard a lot of stories about. Other than that, nothing else where I based this decision off, as well as so let me just figure it out a little bit before I walk you through it, and then I will come back to you. Okay, now I have connected my laptop and I literally see my screen on the ground, but it's so big and it is not how I can use it. Maybe you will not see it very good, but this is the whole area where I'm screening right now. So I want that to be smaller and better focused. And I think, I have a feeling that that is going to be the hard part, that this was the simple part, just putting it on. I literally connected it, I put it in the, I have no idea how you say it, put it into the electricity, and then I also did an HDMI cable and attached that to my laptop. So those are the things I did right now. But as I said, it's connected. I see my screen on the ground, but not in the right way at all. Okay, I looked up some things and I went to patternprojector.com. And here are a lot of tutorials that I can watch to set up the machine, how to calibrate it. Everything is translated to Dutch automatically, so that's nice. And now I will just follow along this website. It's free, so I'm just going to follow along all the steps they tell me here and then show you the result. Okay, honestly, I'm already so done with it. It's way too big. How do I make it smaller, the screen? So now it's on there and it's connected to there because I thought it needed to be high, and then my laptop is there. And the screen is everywhere except for at one general place. So let's see if I manage to fix this. Big lesson number one, the higher you put the machine, the wider the screen is. So I just had to take it down to make the screen smaller. And now I'm looking at something that will possibly make sense. Let me show you. So if I would take up my machine higher, as I did on the little place there, the screen would be big, but now it's more centered and it's way smaller. So this is potentially going to work out. Sinking in, I know it's sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know it's sunlight. If I'm going with you, did it! It worked. So the software that I used, Pattern Projector or projectorpattern.com, it's amazing. It walks you through the whole process of setting up your projector step by step, and it took me an hour, and now I literally have my pattern ready to cut on my ground. So I think I'm going to do that because I have time left. I really expected this to take so long, but this is nice. So I will lay out my fabric and cut the pattern out, and then maybe even sew it up if I feel like it. Okay, what I'm noticing right now is that if your fabric isn't completely straight, then it really gives a bump here. Do you see that? So that might be a bit challenging, but I'm just going to try and cut it out because it still makes sense in some kind of way. So I'm just cutting it out. See what happens. You know, wait, I'm not going to cut it out. I'm going to trace it on top of the fabric. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure that your fabric is ironed completely flat. But now I just traced it to give myself some more security when I cut it. Let's go. Yeah, and a lot of people use rotary cutters when doing this, and I need one. I see that now. Because when you cut, you automatically get the fabric up, which will turn off the lines completely. So I definitely needed to trace it for me to be able to cut this. And with a rotary cutter, you just go over the lines. So that is something I need to buy now if I want to continue working with the projector, because this is really going to turn off designs that I didn't make myself and I don't know what I'm doing. Hello, it's a few days later since I tested the projector. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to keep my puppy busy so that he doesn't interrupt me. But I just wanted to quickly talk about the projector and how I managed to make it work, what my experience is with it. Yeah, and I also got some questions on my Instagram, so I will answer those as well. So the first thing to answer, I have the, okay, to be exact, I have the Epson AB695WI, and I think it doesn't really matter which projector you got, because I noticed that this wasn't the one that all the sewists are having, but just the one I bought because this was available secondhand. I think the only important thing is that you can easily project it to the ground because you want to cut on the ground, so that is important. And for this one, as you can see on the picture, I will insert here, the camera is pointing to the ground, so I can project on the ground. If I lay it flat, I can also project on the wall, but I'm going to use it for sewing, so I want it to be on the ground. Then the second thing, go to the website Projector Pattern or Pattern Projector. I will insert it here as well. And they explain everything. It's amazing what this woman made. It's the best thing if you want to start sewing with the projector. I'm not even going to try and explain to you how I did it, because I followed her steps, her instructions, and it was straightforward. Everything is guided, the calibration, the lining, and it all made so much sense when she explained it. So get a projector, then go to that website and she explains everything on how it works and all of that. Then one thing maybe worth mentioning, maybe not, but it took me quite some time to figure out that the higher you put your projector, the bigger the screen on the ground is. So I was like, it's so big on the ground, so I need to put it higher because the screen doesn't fit the ground, but that made it even bigger. So put it close to your surface to get a smaller surface projected on the ground or on the table or wherever you want to cut your fabric. Then another thing I still need to figure out a little bit is the lines that were projected were kind of big. So I think almost 1/2 centimeter wide, which means that initially there's 1/2 centimeter added to the pattern or decreased. So you have 1/2 centimeter for cutting. On a paper pattern, the lines are very small, so you just cut over the lines. But here is a lot of room if you cut left side of that line, right side of that line, or in the middle of that line. That makes a really big difference, because if you add that thickness of those lines, 1/2 centimeter, then your whole pattern piece is 1/2 centimeter wider. So that is something I still need to figure out, why those lines were that thick, but it turned out great. Then the other thing that I have to say, and then I go to the questions. I use my scissors because I don't have a rotary cutter, but I am going to use one, because when you put your scissors underneath the fabric, then the fabric goes up and the line go all the way everywhere. So you definitely need a cutting mat and a rotary cutter. So that is why I also would say don't start with this when you're just starting with sewing, because you need a bit more equipment even starting out with this. I'm going to leave my dog out. Do you see him? Hi. Okay, then for the questions, one of the questions was making sure the projector is accurately aligned for cutting. Go to the website, as I mentioned, the patternprojector.com. She explains everything, even how to work with the website. So just go to the website, make it the first thing you do when you get the projector, and follow her guidance, because she can explain it way better than I can for you right now. Then another question, what do you use to transfer the files to the projector? And that is also on the same website. She explains how you can use her website to do that. But otherwise, you just open the A0 file and then just make sure you scale it right. And you can always test the scale of your projector and your pattern on the ground by just grabbing your measuring tape and then see what the measurement is on your computer, so the original measurement, and then try to line it up with the same on the ground. So make your projector bigger and smaller to make sure that it is aligned. But I would, again, use that website. It's amazing. And then another question I got a lot is, where do I make my patterns? Because I make my patterns digitally. I also draw them a lot of times still, because I love that I'm able to just make nice curves and lines, and I don't know, it just works very nice, and you be able to cut it and then move the pattern pieces around. And on a computer that is a bit more stiff and a bit less flexible. So I do both, but when I draft in digitally, I use Adobe Illustrator, because that comes closest to just using paper. It's very flexible. You can kind of draw a pattern from there, and I have my basic block in that program, and that makes it very easy for me, because then I know that they will fit me. So I just have to draw a pattern around those basic blocks that I use as my template. Okay, another question I got asked a lot, or just a lot of things that come up in the DMs on Instagram, is patterns don't fit me. I want to sew more, but it doesn't fit right. And I tried adjusting, but it's too random. And what I will say about that is, if you buy a pattern, try to use it as a basic block. So still measure it and check it with your measurements and how that is going to look on your body. So even if you buy a pattern, you are allowed to adjust it to make it fit you better, your body. Because still a pattern that is pre-made is still based on someone's size and not your specific size. So you are completely allowed to just make it fit you better, so that you will wear the garment more. At least for my patterns, feel free to adjust it perfectly to your size. And I think other pattern makers will say that too, so that you just get the most wear out of the pieces that you make. And you can use my fit first method video that I made on my YouTube as well to see how I do adjustments to my basic block, but you can apply them to basically any pattern if you treat it as a basic block. So if you, for example, want to change the chest width, then you can use the same method and the same formula that I use in that video for adjusting the chest width. You can also adjust darts, and I adjust the waist, all those kinds of things you can find in that video as well. I think I talked a lot again. That goes fast, so there were a bit more questions, but I will do just a few more in different videos as well, and just walk you through everything about pattern making, sewing, and yeah, creating patterns to sell or to use for your brand or whatever. So hopefully this was helpful, and you can also join my community. There I share free resources about pattern making. Also, you can find a training on how to make your basic blocks in there. If you want to dive deeper into pattern making and actually learn how to create your pieces, then we can also work one-on-one in my training about creating any piece that you want, to really learn pattern making, learn the techniques, learn the systems, learn templates, and how you actually turn your basic blocks into any design that you want. And then last thing, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment something nice, what I can do better, what I can do, make videos about, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and just feel free to share anything that you feel like sharing. And I hope to see you next week. Bye.